Hello everyone, I'm Video Game Hazard, back for some more Pokémon Fire Red. In the last episode, we explored the northern optional section of 6 Island, and today we are on the last of the Sevii Islands, 7 Island, also known as Quest Island of Infinity. But yeah, Quest Island. Once again, a much better name than the numbered ones. This island has been left virtually untouched in its natural state. It could be a little difficult to hike around because of that. Yes, so, there isn't a whole lot of infrastructure here on 7 Island. There's basically just this town, and then something else to the north that we'll get into in just a moment. But first, we're gonna battle this trainer. Somewhere on this island, peculiar Pokemon are sleeping. I wonder what those Pokemon are. Whatever, we'll have to get into that later. For now, we're just gonna fight Psychic Rodette. And you have a Natu. Probably not great for me to have Jeremy in front then, because you're a flying type. Although, I guess we could try dealing with it. Oh, you're going for Wish. Okay. That's a move that will heal the Pokemon the turn after it's used, basically in anticipation of damage. Like the slash I'm about to inflict on it. So it should just heal. Yeah. It's gonna heal a bit. I believe by about half of its maximum HP. Yeah, that's what it looks like. But I think another slash should be enough to take it out. So let's see. There we go. Good job. What do you have next? You have a Drowsy. I'm not worried about that. We'll slash you in the face. And wow, crit one shot, okay. Not sure if the crit mattered, it might have, but who knows. And then a Hypno, of course. We'll just keep slashing, I guess, that seems to be working. And I get put to sleep, of course. That's annoying. You know what, I don't feel like using the Pokeflute, so we're just gonna switch to Yokozuna, who I know can one-shot a Hypno. You've done it countless times before with Shadow Ball. So let's just go ahead and do that. Shadow Ball, you're spamming Future Sight for no reason. And for that, you will pay with your life. Or not. You've actually survived that. Fine, we'll kill you with a Body Slam. Probably could have done a Brick Break, but whatever. And then I fell asleep, really? Come on. And then I took the Future Sight attack. That's annoying. Fine. I guess you really want me to use the Pokeflute, so I guess I'll indulge you. I don't like having to do this, but this Hypno has decided to be very annoying today. You're probably gonna go for another Future Sight. Oh, gee! Who saw that coming? No, do not go back in the bag. I want to finish you off with a Brick Break. Take the Psychic. That should be fine. Brick Break the Hypno. You're done. Finally. That was annoying, but that fight is finally over. And Jeremy grew to level 58. So that's good. What an amazing trainer. I sure am. Are there hidden items around here? Yes, there's actually Nana Berry. Useless berry to me, but whatever. It's here, it exists. Trainer Tower ahead. Yes, Trainer Tower is something that we'll be checking out briefly. But we also have this trainer here. I sensed your approach. And you also sensed audio troubles, apparently. Psychic Dario. You have a Girafarig. That's a new Pokemon we haven't seen before. Girafarig is yet another Johto Pokemon. It is a normal and psychic type. So, if you wanted to use ghost types on this for an advantage, that normal type will just cancel them out. So, really the only good things that you can use to deal super effective damage are Dark and Bug moves. Which I have both of, but with Spike, it's a risk to use Mega Horn since it's a Psychic type, and Blitz's Thief doesn't do as much damage as I would like it to. So we're just gonna have Jeremy take care of this, keep on slashing it while it's asleep, Girafarig does not evolve in this game, but it did actually get an evolution in the past few years after not having one for over 20 years, which is crazy to think about. But if you're playing these earlier gens, don't expect an evolution out of Girafarig. Also, unnecessary crit. We love that. Give up. Are you saying that about yourself or me? I don't know. Anyway, in this area, in the water, there's actually a new Pokemon we can encounter here. You can find a Mantine. Yes, Mantine is how it's supposed to be pronounced. It's a water and flying type from the Johto region. Does not evolve. It does get a pre-evolution in later games, but here it's just a standalone Pokemon. You can use it if you want. It's decent, but anyway, let's move on from that. And here we have Trainer Tower entrance. Rise to the challenge, trainers. So, the Trainer Tower here is a battle facility where you can battle trainers, 8 floors of them. You do not gain experience or money from defeating these trainers, but you do have the option of, you do have the ability to obtain various prizes if you complete each of the challenges. If you were to do the single battle mode, you would get an upgrade as your reward. If you were to do the double battle mode, you would get a dragon scale as your reward. Basically, with those, it's just a single battle per floor and a double battle per floor. Then the knockout mode is a little interesting, where you have 3 single battles per floor with 1 Pokemon each. If you win that mode, you obtain a metal coat as your reward. And then finally, you have mixed mode, which is a combination of all 3. And for winning that, you get a King's Rock. Completing the challenges in the battle facility is not required in order to obtain any of those items. This is basically just a repeatable method. Every Pokemon that you fight here will match the level of your highest level Pokemon. So because Mustafar here is level 60, all Pokemon in the battle in Trainer Tower will be level 60 for me. But I am not going to take on Trainer Tower because, like I said, it's completely optional. You don't really get anything out of it aside from those items, but like I said, you can obtain them elsewhere. That just happens to be a repeatable method. So with that said, we're going to head back into 7 Island Town and talk about this little house right here. As you can see, there's a little back door blocked by boxes here. This was intended to be a method of using the GBA e-reader. However, the e-reader functionality is not a thing in the international versions of Fire Red and Leaf Green. It is only available in the Japanese version of the game, and even so, that room is still inaccessible in any version of the game. It was planned to be used for e-readers and events back in the day, but was never utilized as such, so it just goes unused. Kind of odd, but sometimes that's just how it goes. Anyway, we're gonna head down onto this bridge right here, and we have another move tutor here, actually. This guy, if I remember correctly, will teach us the move Swords Dance. That boosts your attack by 2 stages for every use. I'm not going to teach it to any of my Pokemon, but it is a rather useful move if you ever choose to use it. Anyway, we're heading down to the canyon entrance here, and of course we can immediately get into a battle. Great. Aroma Lady Mia. Oh, you have a Blossom. Okay, I guess we can show this fight then. Since we have not seen Blossom in battle before, I'm going to use Sludge Bomb because this is one of the rare opportunities where I can actually get super effective damage with it. And sure enough, the Blossom goes down in 1 hit because it is very weak. Vileplume is a lot better than it. Oh, and of course you have 2 Blossom. Sure, if that's how you want to roll. Though again, I do not recommend using it. Yeah, and you go down in 1 hit. So, no surprise there. And we've defeated her. Too strong for me. You can say that again. Anyway, in this area, if I could not get interrupted by a Spearow, I wanted to say that you can find one new Pokemon in the canyon entrance, that being Phanpy, yet another Johto type. No, Pokemon from the Johto region. It is a pure ground type, and it's actually one of my more favorite Pokemon from the Johto region. I've used it a couple times. It has a good evolution. It's a fun Pokemon if you want to use it. But with that said, there's not a whole lot else to the canyon entrance because the actual interesting things are up ahead. Oh, and this guy does actually have a new Pokemon, a Pineco. As I mentioned before, you can find them only through an exclusive event in the Altering Cave. You have no other way of obtaining it in Fire Red and Leaf Green, unfortunate as that may be. Do you maybe have another Pineco? Anything else interesting? I wasn't really planning on showing this battle, but I want to see what your last Pokemon is in case it's something new. So I might as well show it, I guess. Alright, so take care of that Voltorb, and yeah, sure enough, you have another Pineco. Can't say I'm too surprised there. We'll do a Rock Slide, because I don't use that enough. And down you go. And that should take care of this Juggler. So, I believe, as I said, there's not a whole lot to the canyon entrance. The real appeal of Sevii Island is an area up ahead. There's also double battles here that I'm probably gonna skip. Alright, I decided to just skip ahead both of those trainers. They don't have anything new to show us, so I didn't think it was worth showing them at all. Interrupted by Sentret. If we go down here... Interrupted by another Sentret. I really should be using Repels, but whatever. If we go down here, we can find a hidden Rostberry. There is no other... There are no other items here. There's also a double battle here I'm gonna skip. Nothing interesting here, just a Golduck and a Psyduck, who we've seen plenty of times before. But now, with them out of the way, and after I actually set up a Super Repel and stop being an idiot, we can head over here. Sevii Canyon entrance. Trainers are asked to refrain from damaging plants in the canyon. So, sure enough, if we head over this way, we enter Sevii Canyon. Now, this area is a little more interesting, because I believe we have two new Pokemon that we can encounter here, which I will talk about while we battle these two. So, Sevii Canyon, as I said, is home to two new Pokemon that you can find. The first of which is Skarmory, a Steel and Flying type from Johto. It is exclusive to Pokemon Fire Red, so Leaf Green owners, you will not find it. Then you can also find a Larvitar, a Rock and Ground type from Johto. Both of them are very good Pokemon. Larvitar in particular evolves into Pupitar and then Tyranitar. Tyranitar being the pseudo-legendary of Johto, where its stats are on the same level as a legendary Pokemon, basically. Dragonite would be the pseudo-legendary of Kanto, so they're kind of comparable in that way, stat-wise. Also worth noting here is that this I don't forget what this person's trainer class was, or these people, but they have a Miltank. Of course, they're using a Forester on the Tauros. Miltank is another Johto Pokemon. It's a pure normal type. Not a whole lot going for it this late in the game, but if you've had to deal with certain Miltank, you may fear it in that context. If you know, you know. But beyond that, there isn't a whole lot to mention here. Although I am now just realizing, I don't think I mentioned before that the Mantine that we could capture back around Trainer Tower, that's actually exclusive to Pokemon Leaf Green. So Fire Red owners will not be able to find it. But now, with all that said, we can finish off this Tauros and end this battle, finally. It did not go as quickly as I would have hoped, because they decided to use a friggin' full restore. But whatever, it is what it is. We can move on from them. Go down here, we can find a nugget. I'm gonna have to sell that later. Let's see. I don't actually know the proper way to go through here. I do not have a Rock Smash user. I hope that's something I'm not gonna regret having not brought here. It doesn't matter if you happen to have the strongest Pokemon. It doesn't mean a thing if you don't know how to use them properly. This is true. Okay, so this Tamer's team was mostly boring with Sandslash and Lickitung, which we've already seen before, but he also has an Ursaring here. This is the evolution of Teddiursa, which I mentioned before was in the Altering Cave if you were actually able to access the event. It's just a pure normal type, has really high attack, hits stupid hard. That's basically all you need to know about it. But it didn't even get to do anything, because it just tried to rest right off the bat. Whatever, that Ursaring was kind of stupid. Anyway, moving on. We head over here, we get a Max Elixir. There's also... Did I miss something up there? So there was actually something I missed. And I even had to go back to the Pokemon Center to get a Strength user. Because here we have the Tonobi Key. No items, and no new Pokemon here. No Pokemon at all. But you do have a massive pain in the butt of a Strength puzzle. So I'm gonna attempt to do this. This is gonna be torturous. And I've probably already messed up by doing that. So starting from the beginning again, we're gonna do this, push these two on the sides, like that. Then we're gonna push this one up to the top. We're gonna go around and push these two up into this upper area. We'll push this one over that way. Then we'll push this boulder this way so that it can go over to the left. And then finally, these last two boulders can be pushed up to the left with this one. And then this one can also be pushed up and then to the right. Having completed that, some rumble occurs far away. We'll have to see what that rumble is, but for now, we're gonna keep making our way through Sevii Canyon, because there are a few other trainers here. There are also items around that I haven't really looked at my notes for, but training by oneself is certainly not a bad thing, but it's also not bad to aim for the top with a partner. Even Bruno, he trained with a fellow by the name of Brawly before. Interesting. I guess you don't have much else to say. Oh boy, two trainers here who I'm probably gonna skip. Decided to skip both of those trainers because neither of them have anything new to show. I believe this trainer, however, does have something new. My conditioning's in top form. Well, good for you, I suppose. What do you have in store for us? Crush Girl Cindy, you have a Primate. Oh, I didn't want Yokozuna to be in the front still. I would rather have... I'm gonna have Spike deal with this, sure. You can tank fighting moves well, so... So let's try this. Oh, you got poisoned by Poison Point. So let's go for a Sludge Bomb. And that gets a crit one-shot, nice. And Yokozuna gets a level up. Then you're sending out Hitmontop. That's a third Hitmon. That's, again, only in Johto. The interesting thing about the Hitmons is that Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee are basically separate Pokemon in in Kanto that just so happen to have similar names and types and stats and all that. But in Johto, they were actually directly connected because another Pokemon called Tyrogue was introduced. And when Tyrogue reaches level 20, it can evolve into either Hitmonlee, if its attack is higher than its defense, Hitmonchan if its defense is higher than its attack, or Hitmontop, the new evolution, if its attack and defense are equal. So a bit of an interesting evolutionary family there. But yeah, as you saw, Hitmontop did not stand a chance against Blitz. Neither did that Machoke, frankly. And we get a level up for our efforts. So very good. And now, I believe there is a special item that... Yes. Yes, if that's the item I'm thinking of, I am very happy to finally be able to get it. So we're gonna have to use Rock Smash and Strength to get to it. This will be a little annoying, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna have to break this rock here, push that Strength Boulder down, get interrupted by a Geodude hiding underneath that rock, push that boulder down, break this Rock Smash rock, hopefully don't run into something else, good, move this Strength Boulder, and we can get the King's Rock. My bag is full. Wow, that's the first time that's happened. Okay. Okay, after throwing out a Guard Spec, now we can obtain the King's Rock, which is a very good item. First of all, if you hand it to a Pokemon, it will make them more likely to cause the foe to flinch. As such, I'm going to give this to Spike, so it finally has a good held item. The King's Rock also has a secondary use, in that it can be used to evolve two Pokemon. Poliwhirl, if you don't want to evolve into Poliwrath, has the option of being traded while holding a King's Rock to evolve into Politoed, a pure Water-type evolution, which is more focused on special attack as opposed to physical attack like Poliwrath. It's pretty good in its own right. Unlike Blossom, I actually would sometimes recommend using Politoed. And the other option is that you could evolve a Slowbro into a Slowking by doing the same method of trading it while holding a King's Rock. I forget the exact stat differences. I want to say... I don't know. I'll put the stat differences up on screen, but basically Slowking is the same type as Slowbro and Slowpoke, Water Psychic. And the interesting thing with the lore is that instead of the shelter attaching to Slowpoke's tail like with Slowbro, it instead attaches to the head with Slowking. And as a result, it becomes very smart for some reason. I don't know how that works exactly, but hey, whatever works for you. Anyway, this... Oh my gosh. Cool Trainer Leroy Jenkins, could you please not heal every 2 seconds? I would really appreciate you not doing that. You're paralyzed, good. We're gonna do another Body Slam. Okay. I think you just used Endure. I looked away for a split second. Yes, you did. Of course. Brick Break. Get out of here. Now you're out of the way. What else do you have, Leroy? You have a Machoke. That, I think, will be a job for Mustafar, who I haven't used in a bit since it's higher level than everyone now. We're gonna go straight for a Fly. I don't like that it has to take 2 turns, but whatever, this is what we do. Because Fly is mostly better than Aerial Ace, which I would have kept if it weren't for Blast Burn, but hey. So get that Machoke out of the way. Then we have a Slowbro. That is a job for Blitz. I'm not even gonna bother using Mustafar or anyone else against this. Blitz will just make this go as fast as possible. So we're gonna use a Thunderbolt, and hopefully that's a one-shot. Yes! Excellent. So we take out that Slowbro, and then you have an Ursaring. I guess Blitz can stay in and deal with this. I don't really have any complaints with that. We can do a Thunderbolt. And that's probably not going to be a one-shot. No, it's not. I take a Slash that does a lot of damage, but Thunderbolt should be enough to take care of it. Good. Good, good, good. I knew it. You're as tough as I thought. You were also pretty tough yourself. You had a pretty good team. There's also... I believe that's the last trainer there. Let's see. Yes, you are the last trainer, but I'm probably not going to show you. Yet another strong trainer here, and I had to actually leave the route briefly, because we do have more items to obtain. Namely in this house. And this guy's doing a little dance for us. Dance, dance, Chansey dance. You join in too. Dance, dance. Would you like to dance? Eh, why not? Andrew danced the Chansey dance. And it heals me for some reason. There, you're all chipper now. Lucky. And if we go over to his table here, we can pick up a Lucky Punch. That is an item specifically meant for Chansey. I believe that boosts its critical hit ratio. Let me see. Yes, it does. That's exactly what it does. And does the Chansey say anything? Nothing of value. Cool. Anyway, moving on from this house, there's a hidden cherry berry here. And then that is it for Sevii Canyon. Because now we're going over to the Tenobi Ruins. Now, the Tenobi Ruins are an interesting story. So, that Tenobi key that we completed was actually necessary for us to do something with the Tenobi Ruins. There are 7 of these ruins scattered across 7 islands all over the place. There are also trainers I'm sure we'll have to fight, but we'll get to that. The first of the ruins over here. Are you gonna fight me? You are gonna stop me. Okay. Okay, with that guy out of the way, we can enter into the first of the Tenobi ruins, the Monian Chamber. Now, what's worth noting here, like I said, there are 7 chambers. And once you have completed the Tenobi Key, you can find a specific kind of Pokemon in here. Unknown. This is a Psychic type from the Johto region. It has... its only move that it can ever use is the move Hidden Power. Hidden Power is a move that changes type and power based on the stats of the Pokemon and I believe some other value I'm forgetting. I'll explain it on screen if I forget anything. This Unknown's Hidden Power we know is something neutral to Poison Ground. The other thing about Unknown is that there are 26 different forms. They each correspond to 1 letter of the English alphabet, and they don't really have any differences other than appearance. This particular Unknown right here is based on the letter A, as you may be able to tell. We also caught it, yay! And this is the only form of Unknown that you will find here in the Monian Chamber. Behind the Monian Chamber, you can find a Hidden Heart Scale. That item does not have any use in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but it has uses in other games. So I guess this is like a little nod to that. Anyway, on the second island here, we have the Lip 2 Chamber, the second of the chambers. Here you can find C, D, H, U, and O forms of Unknown. On the third island here, you can find a Hidden Heart Scale and 2 trainers who have already fought, as well as the third chamber, the Weepth Chamber, jeez, I cannot speak. The Weepth Chamber has the N, S, I, and E forms of Unknown. The fourth island is home to the Dilford Chamber. Love that name. This chamber has the P, J, L, R, and Q forms of Unknown. The 5th island has one final trainer for you to fight, as well as, if I can find it, another heart scale. And its chamber, the Skewfib chamber, is home to the Y, G, T, F, and K forms of Unknown. The 6th island is home to the Rixie chamber, where you can find the V, W, X, M, and B forms of Unknown. And the 7th and final island is home to a 4th hidden heart scale, as well as the final chamber, the Viapois chamber? Viapois? I don't know. Here you can find the Z form of Unknown. You can also find 2 new additional forms of Unknown that were introduced in Fire Red and Leaf Green. The first is the question mark form of Unknown, which can actually be found back in the Monian chamber. And the other one is the exclamation point form of Unknown, which can be found here in the Viapois chamber. And with the Tenobi chamber, or the Tenobi ruins, gone over, that is everything there is to Sevii, to the 7th island. And that is actually just about everything there is to the Sevii Islands as a whole. We're just about done here, but there is one more thing I want to show. Back on 2 Island, if you head back to the market stall here, there will be new items for you to buy. He will no longer be selling the Great Ball, but he will be selling Ultra Balls, Repeat Balls, which work better on Pokemon you've caught before. Really helpful if you want to catch Unknown. Timer Balls, which work better the longer a battle lasts. Lemonades, Soda Pops, and Fresh Waters, which we've already seen. Moo Moo Milk, which heals your Pokemon by 100 HP. I'm actually going to buy, let's say, 50 of those. I think I'll also buy some Timer Balls. And then you can also buy Lava Cookies, which are just a cheaper version of a full heal. Anyway, Timer Balls, I'm going to get, let's say 20 of those for now. And then Ultra Balls, we'll get 8. And that should be fine. But now, that is actually everything in the Sevii Islands. We are completely done here. There were some events that you could do back in the day that involved the Sevii Islands, but we are not able to do them today. I will discuss them in another video. But for now, that is everything in the Sevii Islands. And I think that's a good place to stop, because I've been recording for quite a while. So in the next episode of Pokemon Fire Red, we're gonna finally head back to the Cerulean Cave. See you guys then.